thought we came to mop up. But instead, we found ourselves having to fight desperately to defend the ship, as well as humankind.
Go, go, go! Kill these aliens! Over here! They're everywhere!
A never-ending struggle against the enemy. Join the USC in defending humanity. Coming 2023.
Dear strategy fans, welcome to Tacticon and welcome to another DevTALK. This time about UAC Counterforce. We have on board here Alisa, is it correctly how you pronounce it?
Yes. Very
From
good.
Fire Squid, the publisher, and Xaba from Angry Cat
Yep.
Studios, who's working on this masterpiece. Who are you guys, and what is USC Counterforce?
Okay, we're a very small indie studio from Hungary, and really, it's just two of us. It's just the two of us, and I'm the only programmer and game designer, and Csaba is like a junior game developer. He helps with testing and brainstorming and all the communication with Fire Squid and you guys, the media. So I couldn't do it without him. But basically, in technical terms, it's a solo project. So I'm developing the game. And what it is an old school turn-based top-down view tactics game with strategic overlays in the campaign mode that will be available later during the development. Currently the game is in alpha still. Early access is planned for the beginning of next year. But during the Tacticon you can try out the current demo build, which is already very stable and offers a lot of opportunities to see what it is. So it's a low-level tactics game, which means you control every aspect of your units on the field: movement, item usage, ammo reloading. It's an RPG-like system with 9 attributes and passive skills you can fine-tune your Marines with, and you can use all kind of gadgets. You have free inventory management. You can pass items to your units. You can. So why I said it is old school? It's because it's an action points based, very free system in without active skills. So the game is more focused on passive skills and passive abilities of every one of your units. So every unit can do anything basically, but if you put skill points in some specialization, they can do it better, of course. But everyone can shoot, loot, operate mechanics on the field. So it's a classless system where you can train your units as you see fit
Oh,
without restrictions.
so in other terms, it determines more of like what you learn them to use, and it's more of what items you give them in hands to use in terms of like, I don't know, let's grab as a comparison XCOM where you have like this class is using only this weapon, so you can like
Exactly.
rearrange your squad. That is amazing. How many members are in one of these counter forces when you send them out in mission? What's like the maximum and the minimum you can send in?
Currently in the demo, there's only 1 squad missions that can be either 4 Marines or 6 Marines. But in the current development build that is already playable by us in internal testing, you can have up to 4 squads of 6 Marines. That's 24 Marines in a single mission.
Ooh, okay.
But
Do you get any advantages, disadvantage if you send in less or more?
the number of enemies is scaled up based on the currently. So these many Marines will only be in some campaign missions where it's very important. The general game is balanced for 1 squad of 6 or 4 Marines or 2 squads of 4 or 6 Marines. So 24 is it's a very big number, but we definitely want to bring some great battles into the final version of the game in some points of the campaign. So the game can handle it.
You're talking about campaign. Do we get like a storyline to follow where you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The story is the continuation of Ultimate Space Commando, our first game from 2015.
Will it
And
get crazy that you can like implement on happened in the first game into the second game?
no, not that crazy. That game had multiple outcomes. It had multiple outcomes, and we give you the best possible outcome as a starting point
Okay.
to
Okay.
continue
I
the
got you.
story. Yes, but old characters from the old game would also appear again. So Marines, you already know if you played the first game, but uh, knowledge of the first game is not required at any to enjoy the story. Everything will be explained in a narrative sequence and lore elements and research. So
Yeah,
That's me.
and also we're going to keep the deep tactical layers that we had in the
yes, and the
original USC.
campaign will be also again or more so open-ended and not so it will have a story.
Mhm.
But it's only a back. It's rather a backstory for what is happening and why. And as you mm, play your missions and decide what to do and when to do those things, depending on your decisions, the outcome of the whole campaign will be very different in
That
ways
sounds
that we
intriguing.
don't really see in other games. I think because I hope it's not a spoiler, but uh, what you perceive as an enemy may not be necessarily an enemy
Okay.
at all.
So you have to decide if you go against him or not.
Yes, but of course, if you, for example, manage to be friends with this entity or these entities, then maybe you'll have someone else who will be not that friendly towards you in the end. But I don't really want to spoil these things at all.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. Also, I have to correct an error of mine. Eliza and Chubb are both at Angry Cat Studios. Fire Squid is only the publisher.
Yep.
Yes.
So that was an error from my side. I misunderstood there something. Back to USC. In terms of from the player's perspective, how do you vision it to start? Like, do you get the base group? Do you get a base of operation where you like upgrade your crew, grab equipment, etc., etc.? What do you do as a
Well,
player when you begin?
yes, in the campaign you will begin as a commander of a three-ship strike fleet that is sent to this planet to investigate why communications have abruptly ended.
Okay.
But this will be explained in the game. Lore-wise, you cannot instantly return to Earth or send a message back to Earth for reinforcements. So for a few days or a week, you will basically cut off of any reinforcements. So you will have to operate with the supplies you have on the three ships.
Oh.
And there will be many Marines you can you can deploy into battle, but not an unlimited amount of Marines. So you will have to uh, protect your soldiers and don't let them die on the field, left and right.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. But the game also has three other game modes where you are absolutely free to set up a squad based on squad points.
Okay.
And these three game modes are the single mission mode where you can set up a mission with many parameters, objectives, environments in 7 different difficulty levels to practice or to be good and earn a good score on the leaderboards. Team leaderboards will be implemented for this. So
Ooh,
it's
cool.
it's also while it's basically a single player game, it's some kind of community aspect to it, and also because you can play with 2 or more squads through Steam Remote Play. You can basically play the game as a multiplayer game if you have a friend who
Yes,
wants to
that's
play this with
amazing.
you.
I love that.
And
I love that.
this is true for the campaign too, because in every campaign mission you will have the option to deploy 2 squads. So it
Okay.
means if you have a buddy, you can do all campaign missions with them.
since you mentioned remote play, technically, for those who don't know what that is, how does remote play work? Does one have to own the game and he invites somebody else to play along? Do
Yep,
both have to have the game?
it's pretty easy. Yeah.
Yes, it's very easy to set up, but I think both players need to have the game in their Steam inventory. So
I mean, I'm
because only
already
then you
excited that
can
you can co-op.
invite them. Yes,
Okay.
you can co-op. So it's basically a co-op game. There's no player versus player in this game. It's a fully co-op game versus the aliens. That's obvious.
So
But,
since you brought up now aliens and a little bit of behind the lore, what is the lore of the game? Like, what is the purpose of your Marines? You said you're like cut off with communication of on Earth. Is there something happening on Earth that you cannot communicate with them?
No, I love science fiction, but I love it if it's a bit more grounded in physics or realistic
Okay.
explanations. So I've come up with this method for interstellar travel, which is basically space-time bending or warping, but it has limitations because it costs energy. It needs very big machines, enormous machines, and these things need to be maintained and recharged. So basically, only these gateways can. Smaller ships only travel in interstellar space using these gateways, and
Okay.
after they arrive somewhere, it can take up to 2 weeks before a gate can be operable again to send back a ship or even some information, because not no information can spread faster than the speed of light, and we're talking light years of distance to the
Okay.
closest
So
star system. So there's no communication with Earth. There's nothing wrong with Earth, but you cannot just call them for a breakfast. So
so in other terms from mechanical minds, does it mean that you have like always these intervals where you as a player have to decide, I don't know, do you call for help and reinforcements? Do you send out information? Do you request resources and stuff like that?
you cannot. That's the you will have to use what you have, and you can set up bases on the surface to mine for valuable materials,
I see.
like this crystal. So back to the story. The game is in the 24th century, with Earth still being the center of human civilization. No alien species have ever been encountered. Back there at home, there are mega concerns or firms, companies that control everything basically. And there's USC, the United Space Command, which is kind of an independent organization that is its purpose is to protect space from pirates and other small factions that would endanger the interests of these companies. And of course, these pioneering megaships of try to travel to systems that are deemed profitable, where there's rare resources or something. And if they find a planet, then they start to build outposts there. And basically, the contact with one of these planets have been terminated, and that's why the crew of the first game went there to investigate, but now contact is also lost with the crew that went there to investigate.
That
So
sounds
that is
super
very
intriguing.
so that's very serious, and that's why USC sends a three ship strike fleet to
And that's how
investigate or to
it
clean up.
starts.
And you're the commander of this fleet. At the beginning of the game, you will have the option to choose which of the mega concerns is your secret financer. So there will be some politics in the background, and
Okay.
sometimes you will have to choose between independent actions or doing some shady things in order to, for example, get reinforcements from a secret nearby fleet that is not supposed to be there at all.
Mm.
And
So
one very interesting option will be that your character itself is a marine. You don't have to, but in some cases you may opt to deploy yourself on the field. And of course, if you get killed, the game is instantly over.
okay, that is intriguing. So the commander is not an like behind the scenes entity, like
Oh.
we have it, for example, in XCOM. You can actually
No,
take part in the thing, and when you die, it's over. That's
And it
how.
may happen that even the fleet becomes under attack, and if your ship is destroyed while you're on it, it's game over, obviously. So maybe there's a point in the story where you have to deploy on the planet just to survive, but it all depends on your actions.
Wow. Okay, I'm intrigued. I love it when it comes into, as you said, it linked to kind of when it makes sense. When the whole thing makes sense, especially
Yes.
in other games when your ship is being attacked whatsoever, it has no negative outcome for you as the being the commander there, or you're like not on the
Uh,
scene.
yeah, and this you have a fleet, so I was thinking about what do fleets do in reality. What would fleets do in reality when orbiting a planet? Of course, you can target sectors on the planet with tactical nukes, for example, until
Oh,
you have them in your ship's inventory. So in the campaign, there will be a strategic map, not so advanced like in XCOM, this geoscape thing,
okay.
but there will be a basic map of the planet where you can plot your bases and you can see where the enemy nests are discovered, and you will see enemy movement on the planet's surface, and you can decide to nuke them before they reach some point on the map, because for example, if two hordes merge, they become an unstoppable big horde.
Okay.
So maybe you decide to nuke them, but of course you have a limited supply of tactical nukes. So and if you nuke the planet, those sectors become uninhabitable for your units too. So these are also
That's what
choices.
I wanted to ask. Like, does it have any negative outcome for you nuking the planet and destroying the surface?
Of
Wow.
course, and apart from the obvious radiation, uh, this entity or these entities that are behind these events would be not so pleased by doing this.
Okay.
So it's
You
not a
mentioned something shady doing as well. Does it mean that the benefactor, the financier, will ask you to do certain things because they give
for
you the money?
example, to get rid of a secret base of other company, or
Oh, okay.
to sabotage one of the ships that is that that is there in the name of that other company. So
Okay. Now we heard.
but you can choose the honorable way as a USC officer who is neutral, but that would be hard.
Okay. I see. I see. Wow. A lot of decision making, a lot of planning. I like it already. This fact that your commander, can you customize the commander that you're gonna be? Like create him and design him
Uh,
and
uh, in a way, yes. Of course,
Mhm.
there will be a good set of portraits. You can choose a portrait for yourself, and you can name yourself, set some personal data for yourself, choose your skills, attributes, just like for any other units on the field. Yes, of course.
That sounds intriguing. Is the game in any sense also open for modding and such? For example, you said portrait. Could I implement the portrait of my ugly
Yes,
schmuck into the game?
yes, this kind of modding will be supported. Uh, Importing portraits and squad logos or
Okay,
ship logos, but the game itself will not be moddable. So we're putting a lot of effort into balancing the game around the weapons and enemy types and all kinds of things. So modding these kind of things will not be possible because that would ruin the game's
makes
integrity
sense.
as a
Makes
game.
sense. Makes totally sense. Wow. I'm so intrigued. You play a physical commander. You have your whole UFC force to manage. You have planets where you can place buildings on for resources. There's alien hordes. What other enemies or entities? Let's not call entities because you said that sounds kind of secrecy and maybe spoilery. What are your obvious enemies? Are they only the aliens? Are they also the pirates that you mentioned? Like, will you fight against other marine-like people that have guns?
Maybe, but your main enemies are the aliens. But that's a very interesting topic because they are very varied. so they don't seem like uh, aliens from one species.
Okay.
So and it is based on lore, and you will be able to discover why this is. And also, some of your units may become infected and then work for the enemy.
Oh, okay. Are we talking about?
Uh,
Please,
you
please
you
tell me they're
you
not
want
some ugly face
you
huggers
want
that like plant the egg in your.
no, it's worse. You may not know that they have turned to the enemy.
Oh, okay. Wow, that sounds intriguing.
So think like some psionic attack slash the thing.
Oh. Oh, okay. Okay.
So you see what this is not a spoiler because they were in the previous game too. The Shadow Envoys, who are by the looks of they are kind of the biggest kind of enemy types, the Reapers with some shadowy flames around them. But they have introduced themselves to the crew of the first ship that was in the previous game as some kind of super intelligence that is not that benevolent towards humankind, but we don't the player doesn't really know about this too much, and it's not obvious that they are our enemy. So but we've already talked about there will be a lot to discover about these entities,
I
but they are
love
basically some kind of avatar of something greater than themselves.
I love the complexity. I love the drive. I love when games have a story that develops and lore to unravel and find mysteries out that kind of pushes you as a player to like, even though it may be hard or you lose a lot of Marines, you kind of want to keep going, want to see what is going on. And talking of Marines and pushing as a player, how do you play USC? Like, how does it work? Is it turn-based combat? I mean, for those who've not seen it yet, and will see it, maybe give them a little bit of an insight how a run as a player works.
Yeah. So it's a turn-based game. So
Mhm.
we were talking a lot about the story and the campaign and all these strategic choices you can have, and you will be able to decide. But in its core, we are putting the most effort for now because the development of the campaign will be done in the next year or so, along with some other new features like the defend the base mode, where you will be able to build up a base for mining these rare resources, and aliens will come at you at waves, and you will need to maintain your defenses and this kind of gameplay will be also part of the campaign. So and there's the operations mode. I told you there were three other game modes, and there's the operations mode, which means those are missions. You have to they have a small story, some narrative that binds them together, and you have to complete them without returning to base. So you have to plan very carefully because maybe it's five missions right after each other, and any injury or loss of ammo or loss of items carry over during that series of missions, so it's
Wow,
very hard.
I love the complexity of that. Because normally we see very often in games like that, you know, you have your mission, you send them in, they do the mission, they come back, and then you send them out again, they come back, you send them out again and come back. This actually is kind of like a procedurally going forward in terms of having a task to fulfill, and you have to go through different stages until you reach that task before you can even come back with that crew.
Yes, and
Wow.
these three game modes, the single mission, which is everything in one mission, the defend the base mode and the operations mode, these three together form the basis in technical sense of the campaign missions. So that's how we are building it in a development sense. So that's why at the end of the development process we'll have time to focus on narrative and campaign strategy and background simulation, because up until then all the core gameplay mechanics will be implemented in these modules. So we have it planned.
Wow.
But back to the three game modes. The good in these three game modes is that you create squads up from scratch,
Mhm.
and though it's not a campaign, you will still have progression because you will be able to complete the operations and defend the base modes in different difficulty levels for unlocks and rewards. And also, in all 3 game modes, you'll be able to loot crafting materials for successful missions that enable you to craft items you cannot buy with the squad points I mentioned before. So if
Mm-hmm.
the more you play with these game modes, the more stronger your squads will become, and you can uh, complete higher difficulty levels and compete on the leaderboards. So and then there's the campaign mode. So
So a lot
this is
of modes and lore and gameplay to unravel. How long, in terms of gameplay, do you think one playthrough would be an estimate? Like, how long would it take me to beat the game?
uh, about the campaign, I really don't know yet. One single mission, for example, on the one of the harder difficulty levels, I usually play on the hardest or the second hardest difficulty level. Chaba usually tests the game on the no, and on the standard or normal difficulty level. I usually play with 2 squads, and a hard mission with 2 squads takes somewhere between 1.5 and 2 hours. Of course, you can save the game and resume it later, so you don't have to complete it in one sitting. So if we take that and see in the campaign, based on your decisions, when you decide to attack, when you decide to defend, when you decide to nuke them, and obviously that means you don't have to fight them on the ground, I'd say the campaign would take about around 50 hours at
Mm-hmm.
minimum to complete.
That's a solid playthrough, yeah.
But one thing that is very important, that all missions and all the campaign content also will be randomly generated. So you can already see that, not in the demo because we have logged the random seed
Mm-hmm.
for obvious reasons, but we had a previous demo back in February this year, and even in that demo build, you could see that every single mission is different. So there are no so all missions are randomly generated, and all maps are fully interactable. So obviously you can destroy walls,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also things like doors which need power to be able to closed, and you can also weld them, so enemies can't break through them that easily. And there
Oh,
are generators you can shut down, service tunnels you can seal to prevent enemy reinforcements from arriving. There are a lot of explosive things you can use to control the battlefield. You can push and pull a lot of objects to make barricades. You can spill hydrogen on the floor to ignite it and cause a big explosion. And there
that
will
might be
be
bad though in
other
in a
things.
spaceship, right? To do that because then
In a
people are
spaceship,
gone.
yes. Yes, we plan. So there are different environments. Currently, there's the base interior, which is the interior of a ground base.
Mhm.
The deep mining facilities that is aesthetically very different, and it plays different because the layout of the mine maps are generated differently. So it's harder and more dark and more menacing. And there's also missions that are partly on the planet's surface with bases and rocks around. But for later, we also plan missions on spaceships where you will, as you said, need to watch out for the outer walls not to be breached, because then there's an event. You can use it to your advantage if you, for example, seal all the doors leading to the chamber and then open the outside airlock. You can kill aliens that way, or extinguish fire that way. So this will be also very interesting.
Is there like a draw situation where nor the aliens nor you win? Like as you said, with the venting, I'm thinking now of a I can't recall the movie where he's like blocked up and alien is in front of him and the only outcome is hit the door and suck everything out and be like, "Hey, I die, but at least the alien is also dead."
Yes, and it's not that important in, for example, a single mission, because if you don't win, then you didn't win. But in the campaign, maybe So let's take a situation where there's a big horde approaching your base on the map, on the strategic map, and there's another horde that also converges on that same base. So if you send a squad to one of these hordes and weaken them, but you have some casualties and need to fall back, and you fall back, and you basically fail that mission because you haven't destroyed the horde, but now you have a smaller horde that will not not continue its way towards the base because the aliens will also feel, oh, we are weakened now, let's turn to the nest. So that's a draw,
Hmm.
for
Okay.
example.
Can you do like guerrilla attacks? Like, okay, there's a lot of things coming. Let's kill a few. Let's bail out. Let's come back again, and then do a bit and bail out.
As it currently stands, I'm planning on this. So as you will move your squads around on the strategic map, grid by grid, if you have more squads in position, you will be able to attack the same approaching horde multiple times in multiple small missions. Yes.
Oh, this is so cool. Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to show it to Chad. The most unique factor that I have seen, and the audience will see in a bit, is that it's top-down strategy, but you can see the body cam of each character in the top corner, what they see, and this mix of creating the atmosphere is so good.
Yes, that's exactly why it's there in the first place. Because I can't lie about this. It was inspired by Aliens by James Cameron. This body camera, so it's
Of course, I
obvious.
mean,
I think it's obvious. I think. Uh, I just love it. I just love it, and the game is deliberately top down because I think the combat dynamics and the game dynamics worked very well in USC, the previous game, and I was thinking about making it isometric or some kind of other 3D, because all the models in the game are 3D, so we can do it obviously, like you can see on the body camera. But I wanted to keep it top down to have this retro feeling where you can very easily do. So the game is very complex, uh, and and I think the top down view helps the player uh, to do these complex things more easily, because
okay, yeah,
it's clear, it's more visible. You can put more markers that are not that confusing, uh, and a lot of things, and of course one thing we we may miss is the elevation levels. So every map is flat basically, but you can crouch, you can still crouch. That's very important, because if you're in a tight space, your front row can crouch and your second row can fire over their heads.
cool.
uh, so there's no elevation in the game, but there's still crouching. And also there will be maps or missions that are multi-layered. That means you cannot fire between the two layers of a map, but it's still the same mission. So, for example, you can go down a ladder, and some of your units are in the superstructure or the basement. Some of your units are above you, and there will be points in the map where you can traverse between these layers in in a single mission. So, not a mission
Okay,
after mission.
Yeah, and don't forget about the different kind of objectives that we have, because sometimes running from the aliens is it's a pretty good choice. For example, if we have an objective to reach the extraction point,
hmm,
then you have to reach it. So if you stay there and start to fight against them, it's not a good idea. It's better to move all the
Yes,
time.
and but this kind of moving requires other kind of tactics, other kind of other kinds of gear you bring with yourself. For example, modular shield walls you can quickly place, or mines that you can place behind you, or maybe you bring more melee capable units to defend you from multiple directions. So when the objective is to reach the extraction point in 8 turns, for example, that's not that much.
okay.
You have to do
Rush.
everything differently compared to when the mission is to eliminate all aliens.
I
because
see.
then you have the time to camp, to set up defensive positions, a perimeter, wait for them to attack, and when there's no more enemies around, then you move out and try to be. Obviously, you can do that if the reactor is melting down and you have 8 minutes to reach the elevator. So,
Oh,
and
the
there's
the
also
time ticks down as you finish a turn, and not it's like, well, I'm planning in 8 minutes over. Boom.
yes, we're counting in turns, of course, but.
I gotcha.
I'd like to think that one turn is maybe 1 minute in real time, just to place it somewhere in the reality. So
That sounds amazing. Well, I'm eager to show off the game, but before we do that, a question to you both: what is the most proud thing that you have created in USC for yourself? Like, where you saying, "This is my doing," because of me, I've created this item or this mechanic or this scene. What is the most proud thing that you are in terms of USC?
I will share a little. It's short story. I'm most proud for how the AI turned out to be.
Okay.
So I was testing this mission on the hardest difficulty level with a very good squad in the mines, and we had a pretty good defensive position. I think it was a little tight, but nothing I haven't seen before. And somehow I passed the turn. The AI started to move, and they were more clever than they should have been. And they eliminated half of my squad in one single turn and crippled the other units. And then my turn started, and 3 of my still alive units panicked and gone berserk, uh, and they were basically dead, screaming "Game over, man! Game over!" So, and I did it, and I did this. I created this AI that can kill you in a single turn, all 6 of your units, and it's a good thing because obviously there's lesser difficulty levels. Which are more
Forgiving.
forgetting or forgiving, yes. But I really like that even I cannot beat the game sometimes on the hardest difficulty, and it's good because it gives you this challenge and this permanent feeling of threat, which is important for this kind of game to work, I think.
I'm afraid already. I don't think that our squad will survive. We're all gonna die terribly in our first try.
Probably, but we'll help you. But that's
Okay.
okay. Sometimes, even in lower difficulties, I have the same situations. I mean, if you make a mistake, actually a big mistake, then it's pretty hard to get back on track. I mean, there was missions in the which was almost in the middle in difficulty, like in hard or something like that, where I only had 1 or 2 Marines left at the end, but 6 or 7 different types of enemies, so I had to run to where the doors to find ammunition, to change the weapons between each other, because one of my units has the action points, but the others had the weapons with a loaded weapon. So there are some situations that are not so easy to
So in other
solve.
words, you can like toss the weapon like, hey, here, catch, and then
Yes, because we are talking about Marines. So if we have a Marine who's, let's say, a sniper, he or she is also able to carry on a bigger gun or to use a pistol or even the melee weapons. So yeah,
Yes, just not that efficiently. So every one of them is a marine, so they can fight. The only thing that is different is how good they are at firing a sniper rifle or a grenade launcher. But there's no such thing. You give a pistol to a marine, and he says, "I can fire this." So
what
that's.
is this? Here, eat that alien, throw it. Wow.
And all ranged weapons, not a strong attack, but all ranged weapons have a melee attack, so you can basically take the weapon and hit the alien with it if that's your last resort.
That sounds fantastic. Well, talking about last resorts and alien hitting and whatnot, I would say let's get over and hop into the game and show the audience what amazing creation you have done here. So, in terms of UI, will the logos over here stand in the way of showing anything important?
The USC Counterforce title will blot out the inventory, I think.
Should we put it on top?
Yes, that would be better. There's an information bar on the top, but that's not that important for a showcase like this. Yeah.
So the information bar on top just says is Alpha 9 demo version. All content gameplay elements are subject to change. And basically just have fun, try out what they have prepared for you. Good. Lead me through here. Where would we head? Do we do an operation? Do we should head
Let's
through
do
the
an
tutorial?
Yes, I think the tutorial is a semi-interactive tutorial with lots of text and help how to play the game. So I think the operations is much more interesting. And for this demo, there's 2 operations available with 1 squad. As you can see in the full release, there will be options to play operations with 2 squads or 1+1 squads. That means the 2 squads you have take turns after each other, like in a board game. So that's for co-op.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the escape the mines one. Okay, which operation shall we show off? Or maybe even
this
two?
This one, I think. The sector
Escape the
sweep
mines?
will be good.
Oh, sector sweep. Gotcha.
Sector sweep. It starts on the surface. The sector sweep. Let's
Gotta
go
play
with
with
the sector
hardcore, of
sweep,
course.
I think. Yeah. And
That's
I
the way
think
to play.
we can. Yes, and we can stay on standard. I think that's not that hard, but it will be more interesting, I think, than the very easy beginner.
Okay,
difficulty level.
good.
We'll help you.
Gotcha. What we have here in terms of loads is that oh, that's just loading the operation. Okay, well then let's begin. Sector sweep.
Yeah, it's just we don't see you on the Discord thing, so there's a lag between what I can see and what we're talking about.
I mean, since now the we're not on camera, let me try to bring up the virtual cam again. Let's hope that Discord is not crashing. Never mind, it is crashing.
Yeah, probably we're going to shut down our cameras and it's gonna solve this.
I do not think so, but just keep them running, and we're just gonna have the slides. Actually, let me just share direct screen with you. Maybe that works.
Let's try it. Because,
So there we go. I should be able to see my screen.
Cool.
cool.
Let me know also on the streams if everything works correctly and is not laggy. Good. What do we see here? We have loadouts. We have squads to set up.
For the demo version, there's already a pre-made squad. So people who want to try the demo don't need to understand everything and create a squad from scratch. So and the demo you cannot load another squad, but you can change it a little bit if you want. So on the left side you see your 6 Marines. With the left click you can switch between them, of course. On the lower part of the screen you'll see their inventory. There's 10 inventory slots with some restrictions. Ammo, medical items for Jenkins you're looking at, and in the bottom left corner there's a status panel, which can be daunting at first with all those icons and colors, but those are basically the damage types in the game, and you can have a resistance and a protection against each kind of element or damage type that is possible. Also on the right side you see your current weapon.
Exactly.
And,
We have a shotgun with apparently It uses the 12-gram shells, so you have to be probably very careful that you pack the right ammunition for the one weapon.
Yes, but if you, for example, go to the weapons panel in the center, there's the
Weapons, yeah.
yes, and you select a weapon, for example, you want to buy. There's those quick ammo buy buttons, so that helps you. So you can buy ammunition separately in the ammunitions tab, but the game helps you to buy the proper
Nicer
kind
quality of
ammunition.
life feature.
So,
Good. Do you
and in the
think we
ac-
should keep the squad constellation as it is?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, it's definitely a squad capable of completing this mission.
Okay.
Even the half of it.
Uh,
if
maybe we should
if you're good enough.
maybe we should show it to the viewers in the units tab. Uh, unit
Units
specs.
New
specs.
specs.
There are the skills of your units. You can train them in, and also there's statistics and all kinds of things. For example, when you play a campaign mode or you play a single mission mode with the same squad over and over again, you will see your statistics for your marines. So everything someone needs when
I like that. I like the complexity. I like that you can edit all this. I see already my playthrough where chat will be named after my marines, and they will scream in chat that, "Oh, please don't let me die." And nice. A lot of customization, but like a lot of making them special towards something. Like over here, marksmanship is primary. And
so obviously the game takes some time to get used to. If you're new, you have to learn these kind of things, but basically when you hover over something, there's a tooltip or an information panel that tells you what it is. The early access version and the full game will also come with pre-made squads you can use until you are ready to make your own squads, or you can modify them and resave them as your own squad. So we want to help the new players to understand this, but part of the charm of this game is in its complexity. So we hope that players who want this kind of complexity.
of course, I mean that's why we look for such a game. We want complexity. We want to go crazy in terms of strategy and what we can do. And I'm already hooked. I mean, I always wanted.
So
I mean, if I compare it to
game-
XCOM, I always wanted a more complex XCOM because it was like too rudimental. Does it work with a percentage to hits kind of thing? And
Yes.
can I, if you stand in front of me with a shotgun, miss him even though it says 99% to hit?
That's mathematically possible, but if you are standing right next to something, it will be. So ranged arms have a 95% maximum to hit, but
Okay.
there's one thing in this game. You will probably be able, depending on the situation, to fire a weapon 4 or 5 times per turn and not just once.
Oh.
So statistically, even if you miss, you will still deal the damage you were looking for.
Or if not with this marine, then with another one from the
And
squad.
And it's a free action point system. So after attacking, if you still have action points left, you can relocate to another position or do something else.
Go
see,
into
so-
defense mode.
Even switch ammo types between two attacks. That also costs action points, of course, some action points. But for example, many weapons have normal ammo or incendiary ammo, and you can switch on the fly.
I see. And with the time, we probably need to learn what ammo type is good against what enemy and what
Yes,
they
and
are
different
capable
enemies
of.
have resistances like you do. Yes. So when you're ready with the squad assembly part, the begin mission button will take you to your first mission.
I'm ready. Oh, exciting.
So this mission also has some kind of narrative. You can see it here. So operations are like this. They are not the campaign mode, but they still try to tell some kind of story. So it's not just a
see.
mission.
So our objective is to reach the extraction point.
Yes.
Secondary is to retrieve some goods on the way. Special conditions are none. And then phase 2 is total annihilation.
Yes, so this mission is about clearing up a base that was overrun by the aliens. So in this first part, you will have to reach the base in time, and in the second part, we will descend into the base underground facility, and we'll have to kill all aliens, basically. So
I see.
it's a straightforward operation. This is the first operation, and if one of your units gets too damaged or and you cannot heal him and you see he will bleed out, you can return to this point and extract them, so they won't count as a loss. This same mechanic will also function in the campaign. So if you
Love
have
that.
time to save a unit, it's better than leaving them to their deaths.
So you said you have action points here to use. The green bar down here below represents,
Those
I guess,
are the
action
yes,
points.
yes.
So we have 45
The
action
actual-
points. I see. We can use all kinds of
Yeah, and before
materials.
taking any actions, you will see that how much action points will be consumed.
Oh,
if
that
you
is
do
And how
that
many
action.
you have left.
Yep.
Yes.
That is very good. Extra armor plating. Does that mean that he is reduces maximum current action points by 8, but increases his resistances?
Yes.
That unit is kind of tanky.
So on the top left side, you see that this unit, Craig, has almost more than double armor, the elo numbers, yes, than the other Marines because of these extra armor platings.
Can you? Is that like a one-turn thing, or does he can spend
No,
each
it's
turn?
now it's now equipped. That's why it's green. The background of the
Oh,
icon is
I
green.
see.
So
So you can
using
unequip it.
it would mean to unequip it. So for example, he can pass it to someone else if need be.
Oh,
So you
I
can
see.
even mm, uh, remove your armor and give it to someone else if
And
it's
also these are lootable items.
yes. To pick up something, you have to press the KX, or there's the button in the top. Yes.
Toggle
and then
item
you can-
pick 'em.
And you can click and see what's there. Yes.
Some data. Hard locked case
This is-
containing classified operational data. Inventory is full though on this character, so we're gonna.
Yeah,
look
one
at
thing
the-
you can do is to move the Novoplast from 8 to 9 with the left click on it.
Yes. So the last inventory slot has a restriction that only consumables can be put there. So if you select the
Oh, I
for
see.
example, and put it with the left click to the another slot
Marketplace.
to the right,
Is it right or left
Left.
click?
Left.
click left, and left click again.
Ah, there
Then
we go.
you now have a free inventory slot for general purposes, so you can pick it up. Yes.
Ah, amazing. So on this one, he has a katana and also has... Okay, friendly fire is locked on. So there is a chance for friendly fire.
There's a chance for friendly fire, of course, and there's the ability. That's what the button is about, to enforce an attack with friendly fire. So by default, you cannot attack your own units, or you cannot attack structures that are man-made or objects that are man-made. But if you turn that option on, you can even fire at your own Marines or shoot a grenade somewhere where it's going to injure some of your Marines.
So you can predict enemy movement in a sense, and then if you think that there is a position and that character has, I don't know, a grenade launcher, you can yoink a grenade over there.
Yes.
So I'm kind of, since the map over here is over, kind of want to bring my
Yes.
snipers on the long side.
You can see in the mini map that you're in the top right corner of this
Oh
map,
yeah,
and you
here.
you have to reach the bottom left part. That was in the long briefing text, but so we're going to move diagonally through this desert.
I see.
And if you have at least 10 action points remaining, you can put your units into defense mode, which is basically Overwatch, and the action points they had when you initiated this defense mode will be used during the AI's turn to fire at them when they are approaching or moving.
Oh,
And the first enemies,
There they are.
there's a worm pig that's a ranged attacker, and there's a scorpion that's a melee attacker, but its specialty is that when you kill it, it explodes in a small radius.
oh my goodness. Okay. Can I anticipate when I see them how far they might move, etc.?
If you see them, they are basically seeing you in most cases.
But is
And
it
the
is
next
it a way?
turn is theirs.
Is there a way to anticipate how many times they will come and stuff like that?
You have to gain some experience about their speed. It also depends on the difficulty level you are playing at. So on the harder difficulty levels, enemies can move further and attack more.
I see. So if I leave my people with action points, they remain in this defensive state, so to say, the Overwatch.
No, you have to
I have
tell
to.
them to.
Oh yeah, they're defensive over here on the corner. The,
Yes, or you can press D, and you will see.
Good. Let's see here. Bring you over here. You, my dear friends.
But one thing is putting all units. You can do it now. It's fine. But for later, I'm just going to say this: that always putting your units in defensive mode is not the best way to play, because small enemies like worms or skitters like to attack first and draw fire upon them, and when the bigger enemies approach, you won't have any ammo or action points left for defensive fire. So it's more useful to snipe enemies you find threatening and only use defense mode in situations like this, when you don't know where they will come from or how many enemies will still come. So it's perfectly fine now to... Yes, and the blue grids show you the area of Overwatch he will cover during the...
Yes, and you can modify it with those plus, minus...
For example, if you don't want to spend them on far shots that we probably miss, you can decrease the range. Yes.
I mean, they're snipers. They can shoot. Maybe like that. Although he will come and probably shoot. Let's leave it like this. We have over here. Let's move forward with you.
You can also change the attack mode of weapons. Like now it's on double fire, but you can change to triple fire. It costs more action points.
Yes, all ranged weapons have 2 ranged attack modes, and the melee I was talking about, but it's just for killing some worms when you don't have any more ammunition left. And
if I crouch and shoot, is the accuracy better?
Yes. Yes, and they will have... they will also be less likely to hit you, for example, with a range speed. And you can also see that if you are beside some obstacle like that rock there, you have some kind of cover. Those are the 2 shields, green shield icons.
Oh, okay.
So you have some cover from those directions too.
Okay, I see. So he's coming forward.
There's an option in the settings to turn on, so every cover icon is always visible for your unit. So there's a lot of customization options in the settings, but it's not that interesting now. But try to make it as user-friendly as possible in terms of you can set up what to see on the screen.
I love that when games have accessibility and you can design it in a way that you like it most.
Don't forget to protect your left side. I mean, right side. Anything coming from the left.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Even if that unit is, let's say, a medical unit, or he's very good with that shotgun.
I see. Let him defend that direction. And with that, I think I've set everything up and can end the
Yes.
turn.
There's an option to quickly end the turn without any prompts. That's the enter key, or you can use the button in the top left corner, the arrows, which will give some prompt.
Let's try it with some prompt.
But there's no prompt because all your units are in defense mode and you don't have more action points, so there's no need for a prompt.
Oh!
In this case.
Oh!
That's very good.
Cool.
Very nice.
Okay, one scorpion down. Oh.
It's a crawler.
He managed to
was
came up.
Alex.
Ooh, got a spit in here.
And another one.
And another one.
I have a lot of conflicts around.
What does graced mean? That he's like now
That's a hit that only deals a very minimal amount of damage, but it, for example, if it had some acidic or poisonous effect, that still counts because it was not a miss per se.
Oh, I see. So, dear friends. Oh gods.
Press space.
Tactical laser gives me critical hit chance and accuracy. Is that installed already?
Yes,
Okay.
you only have to keep it in the inventory.
Well
To
then.
activate firing, you can press space. That's the most easier way.
Oh,
And then you can
perfect.
see all the, and you can move while this is active, and the pattern you can fire on will update automatically. So you can take a step left if you need to, or back, and still see what you can fire on.
That sounds amazing.
For example, that pig is that's blocked out by your units. Kavanaugh is blocking out the line of
So
sight.
one step right with Kavanaugh means that Davidson will be able to fire.
Yes, and you are free to move a unit by one grid, then return to your previous unit, so you're really absolutely free to use up all your action points during a turn as you... So maybe it's the rocks too. That you see this yellow icon in the top left corner of every enemy you see now. That means they are half height enemies, so they are very low. They are short enemies. So
I see.
that's why they can hide behind small rocks too.
So, what do you got? You got some cryo charge, proton chimera, and a wielding torch. Okay, I saw somebody having some grenades, and this was you guys.
Yes, you can to activate an item. You always use the right mouse button.
Mouse button. I see. Well, the throw is not that far. Okay. Let's leave it be for now.
But also you can come closer and to throw a grenade on those two war
Yes,
pigs.
It takes some games to get used to how much you can move. So you see you have 40 to 50 something action points per unit, but obviously you need to learn how much it really is, because you have to get the feeling of... You don't have to drop it on the enemy, you can... That's
Yeah,
it.
that's
Fire
the
in the
best
hole!
way.
So 12. I could throw another one even.
Yes.
Yeah. But after that it's better to go a little bit back, because anything is coming from the south
Will eat me
will
alive.
be
Okay.
problematic.
Yeah. So there
It's
is
just a quick tip.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a little bit of a an arc
And
to
you
learn how far you can move, how the enemies will react and move towards you.
Yes, this unit, Craig, he's your melee unit, so ideally you want to put him in the place where you accept the most attacks from. and put him into defense mode, in a melee defense mode, because that means he can take a lot of melee hits without getting damaged, or he can mitigate most of the
Okay.
damage.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Spencer, how far can you shoot? That's an 85%. That's a good
But
shot.
also you can change to freezing vapor, and choosing freezing vapor will allow you to hit both of those enemies there.
Freezing vapor.
Yeah,
In the top
it's
right.
top
bottom
right.
but bottom right.
or a shift
Ada.
pressed.
Freezing vapor.
Yes, but freezing vapor doesn't have that much range.
Probably
So,
you should come closer, yeah.
or you can use this attack.
So,
But if you come there,
freezing vapor costs me 15. So
yes.
just gonna move over here.
And you're moving slower because you're crouching. That's
Oh, yeah.
also...
I forgot about that. Freezing vapor.
And now, yes, that's...
Could do it even a second time.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Okay.
And now both of them are in frozen status.
They will not move this turn.
They will, but much more slowly, and they are also vulnerable to things like being shattered. For example, if you could do some fire damage to them now, they would be prone to shattering due to the heat difference.
Shattered, okay.
Grenade.
Yes, that's
Okay.
that's a combo mechanic that can happen. For
Is that far
example,
enough?
it's a
That's
yes,
good.
It's perfect.
And if you hover your mouse over that unit on the top, you will see that the health is around 10% of that unit.
And you can see that from the one red bar too. So
So the red
Yes.
bar represents their health. The orange bar represents their armor.
yes,
I see.
that means that that unit doesn't have a rear armor. So the bright yellow is the frontal armor, and the orange bar is the rear armor.
I mean, it makes sense because there's this gobble bubbles popping around that looks super
exactly,
disgusting.
exactly.
Oh. Do you plan in the future progression and production to go even crazy with I don't know, having alien bodies lying around or gore fighting them?
We will experiment with it. Now the corpses disappear because I didn't want to overdo the graphics due to performance limitations, so I don't want the game to lag or stutter because it's too much. But the meantime, we found that it really runs good enough, so maybe this will be an option in the settings. You can enable and have all the corpses lying around unchanged.
So you want to stand up, my friend? So I can see over here who has how many points still left.
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. I wonder if he is strong enough to take out of at least one of these.
Yes, yes. I think he is.
Should
And
we...
triple fire, I think, is good.
Triple fire is good? Okay.
Yeah, but probably should come a little bit south.
A little bit south.
Or no, it's
I
good.
think it's a good.
That's
bus-
good.
It's a good. bus.
That's good.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
That's
For the
perfect.
second
Because it's
one.
max range here, right?
I think
He's
the
now
second
around
hit
10
will
health.
take it out.
Should we do double fire instead of the triple?
Yep.
I stay with triple.
Oh,
70% means you may not hit. 82 now. That's because you are freezing it, and as the enemy freezes, he loses the ability to dodge your bullets in some way.
Oh, I missed and hit the other one.
Yes, and that can happen if your unit is standing near to an enemy and you miss this way. You can close friendly fire very easily course.
And also, if your unit is just next to an explosive barrel, then you have to watch out.
I see.
Yes.
I love the mechanic. So, how far does the trajectory go? Like, if I miss, will it go to bullet until it hits something? Like the rock or something?
No, it's more like in a board game. It chooses a random target from the vicinity of the target.
Okay, I hear you. So, I'm kind of eager to see this katana in action here with the little crawler.
You'll be better off if you attack it from behind.
Oh, yeah,
It
true.
His armor is weaker then, and also attacking anything from behind with a melee weapon gives you bonus bonus chance to hit it.
Okay, should we just go crazy here and do a combo? Let's
You
do a
can
combo.
Try it.
So melee weapons have this ability to score a one. That was a critical hit. That was beautiful.
Wow.
And you still have some action points to slash it or trust your katana in it.
Do I? It says 0. No, I have 5.
No, it
Never mind.
yeah.
Let's thrust in it. Hey! Beautiful.
It was also a critical hit.
That is streamer luck. So we have here 92% chance to strike.
That's
we
very
have a,
good.
It's pretty good.
we have a pinpoint strike. What does that do? Does like
Pinpoint strike, you can only attack it in certain directions, but you're able to shoot through 2 enemies at once. It's a very
Oh, I see.
tricky attack mode. It's hard to master, but it's very powerful.
there we go.
And that was also a critical hit. But with the sniper rifle, it's easy because it currently has 40% chance to do a critical hit. That's
There
why
we
we love
go.
the sniper rifle.
Looks amazing. So we have still Howl here with some points of movements that we can do, but Spencer not. Can you move aside? No, that's 2. But Spencer is crouching, so we are shooting above him. So that is
Yes.
okay. Craig up here has no points, so we cannot do really something. Davidson, run back, please. I mean, you're standing in the open, but it is what it is. And Jenkins. Is that an anecdote to Leroy Jenkins? Because he's a shotgun guy and we've run into it?
No, it's that database of more than 1,000 surnames and first names, and you can use it to generate random name for your units. So it's
Oh, so it's basically just random that he's called like that.
yes. Yes.
The coincidence. Love it. Okay. Enemy turn. Okay, I'm getting
Yeah, but
slowly a hang of it, how it works.
Absolutely. It's only your second turn and already, so it's not that hard to learn the basics. For example, if you play the tutorial first, it explains a lot of these things. So, but playing is learning in itself.
Very good.
And you should know, and all players should know that a weakened enemy like that crawler there with that 1 bar of health left does less damage than a healthy crawler. So
That is an amazing mechanic.
so
Does
I always found it's strange that my enemy is almost dead, but he still does maximum damage to me, and that's why I die. So if you manage to weaken an enemy, you can survive a dire situation, for example.
Or double barrel shoots everything. I see.
Yeah.
Yes, but if you stay close to the target, so you move next to it with the double barrel or any, then you see that it now does more damage and it does not spread. So you can use a shotgun from close. You can
Ooh.
get really up close and personal with the shotgun for some extra damage, or you can spray the area.
So,
But that's obviously not that effective against armored targets.
I'm a little actually, that is a close narrow point. So if I go up
Yeah.
here
It's
And-
better to go back there.
and bring Craig in here
Yep.
to hold down this position and go
That's
into
good. That's a good
defense
idea.
mode. Good. Then we're gonna circle around with you because I saw that someone is bleeding.
Probably
David's-
Davidson.
Davidson, yeah.
Good.
But
But
You're
that's
far
not a
from
big
that.
that's not a big amount of bleeding. So bleeding is proportional to the number. So one bleeding is 1 damage at the beginning of the next turn. That's basically nothing. You'll start to worry when you have 40 or 60 stacks of bleeding.
Okay. So, let's try to take out this little scorpion because they blow up and we don't want that. Oh, that pushed him back. That was not intended.
And now,
Let's see. You stand up.
that can happen. And for example, if you have an enemy that is burning and you fire at it and knock it back, and for example there's a hydrogen pool behind that enemy, it will instantly explode by going into the hydrogen pool while it was burning. You may want to do this, or maybe it detonates also the reactor that is close nearby, and then you lose all power on the map and have a new kind of problem. So this it's kind of like this controlled chaos simulator a little bit, just like the first game. So a lot of things can go bad very quickly
I love
by
that.
accident.
I
But
love
because
that.
but because you always as long as you have action points, you are free to do what you want to do. You can save a lot of situations by good thinking.
Please don't miss. Okay. Whew. Is it worth it to let somebody stand up and walk and then hunker down again, or should I better just
That
let him,
depends on how far you want to go.
like,
So
over here to just protect this area with cover?
then you should. You're the same. So because crouching or standing up costs 4 action points, you're just equal to go to
Okay.
that position. So you don't have.
Let's do like that, and you are going into defensive and make it a little bit conier. Beautiful. Davidson. Let's see here. Let's move over here. Take a shot. Beautiful. Oh, I could have brought him up
That's
here and then
gonna
shoot
be
with the
nice.
shotgun. Although maybe he will explode there.
Or there.
And
Yeah.
that's it.
Beautiful. We're gonna move back. Run. And who's left? We have Spencer still. Has not done nothing. Spencer, you gotta push. I'm not sure I want to push though. Actually gonna move over here and just cover this area. And you're
That's
gonna
probably a
do
good
the
idea.
deep chill.
That's good.
And we're
You got
done.
Still Howl. You still got Howl.
Oh. Howl. There is Howl. You could do another shot.
You should reload first.
His ammo is 0 out of 8. Oh yeah, that's true. Reload.
And then probably can take it. Yeah,
Eat that.
cool.
Eat that. Wow, I'm hooked. I on the campaign now. No, I'm just kidding. Take your time, and I would love to see where the journey goes with USC. It plays already super good. That little bastard. Yeah, run away. But it did something stupidly, as in turning his back.
Yes.
I love your evil
and
laughter.
and if they are
Okay,
in fire,
you're basically clear now. So there are these two worm pigs you can easily kill, I think, and then you can press toward the target, because in this mission you are on a deadline. So
Yeah, that's what I'm
it's
gonna do.
turn 4 or 3.
or
4. So you still have a lot of turns left, but the target is still far away.
We're pushing.
But you're doing very well, because you managed not to take too much damage.
you're alive.
Oh
Yes,
no.
as you can see, some of the weapons have these quote unquote strange firing patterns, like in a board game. That's
Yeah.
absolutely intentional. Basically, these are the cheaper weapons mostly, and if you want to have free firing weapons like the sniper rifle, those cost more. But that doesn't mean that this weapon, the Balitir, is not a good weapon. You just have to get used to how to fight with it effectively, because you obviously can.
I love this camera thing here. Do you think you might go crazy when, like for example, a crit happens? That there's like, I don't know, a zoom in or a slow down.
Yes, these are planned for the future.
Actually, I'm not gonna shoot you. I want to shoot you with something more up close. Since we're pushing, Craig, move up there. Hit him with a nasty combo in the face. Ooh, that's what I want to see. Another crit. Give him one
It's
more.
a tough guy. But now you see that red icon. That means you have delivered a debilitating strike. That means that this enemy now attacks weaker than before. So this is another mechanic you can use to control the incoming damage. This is the specialty of the melee weapons only.
Melee
This
weapons only.
ability to
Probably
freeze.
because of bleeding, you should leave that
And
worm
yes,
pig.
the other thing with melee weapons is that they cause big bleeding injuries. So
Is there a way that I can see that, or is it just like anticipating that, okay, I cut him open and he's nearly dead, I should just leave him?
it's something you can track in your mind for now, but later, if there's feedback about it, so we want to make the game as user friendly as possible. So I can see that in the future there will be an option to turn on some overlay that shows how much bleeding is tagged on an enemy. It's just we just need to be careful not to over clutter the screen with all these information. So that's why many of the markers can be turned off or on in the settings as you want, because we don't want the players to feel there's something they don't like, or there's something they want to see, for example, and they can't.
Very good. I love that you have the ability to decide as a player what you want to see, what you don't want to see. Can I get rid of Graced as well? That impacts only my morale, the Graced thing?
That thing is the poison. So you take constant damage from it. You can get rid of it with the anti-toxin injection left.
The bat?
Yeah, the bat, the bioactive antitoxin. It's that's a good thing. But how much that is?
8.
8 on Kava and 8 on Craig.
Maybe you should. Yes. So
What's next to them?
right click on the
right click,
and then you can
administrator.
and
Bam.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. And I see the bleeding also stopped, the one bleeding on its own.
That was also stopped, yes. On its own, yes. So bleeding decreases by 1 per turn, but obviously if you have a big bad bleeding like 40 or 50, it's not a good thing to wait for it to go away. Because the maximum health of your units is around 250, so a bleeding of 50 is very nasty.
Okay, I'll shoot it in the back, kill it. Perfect.
Done.
So let's keep pushing.
You're around halfway to the map. So probably new enemies will be alerted of your presence now. But you have a very good steady
Oh,
approach.
reload. You have nothing in there. Good that I saw that. So we have still Spencer.
So by development standpoint, it's always a question what to automate in a game like this and what not to. For example, should the game notify you about reloading all the time, or is it something we just want the player to learn? So basically my approach is this game has not the lowest skill floor of all games, but when you learn how to play it, basically how to use the interface, you can play the game, especially on a lower difficulty level. But to be very good at it and to beat the highest difficulty levels, yes, that's an Alpha Scorpion. That's dangerous. Uh, mm, I don't want everything to be automated and always told to the player. I like games where you have to take notes in your head and don't let the game play them yourself.
I 100% agree with that. I'm a fan of games where I do not oh my goodness.
Oh, that's an alpha. So yes, that's a good thing. So you now see the Alpha Scorpion and the Alpha Worm Pig. Both are marked with this red skull icon. These are the alpha variants of the known enemies, but they have stronger abilities. So the Alpha Scorpion up there will explode in a greater area, and this Alpha Worm Pig down there has an area of effect speed damage. So you really don't want to clump up while that's alive, because its poisonous attack is very, very powerful.
As you can see, they're poison 19. Does the poison itself damage my life, or does it attack?
If you
Oh, there's
bring the cursor to the poison on the status bar,
on the status bar
on the
down here.
Yes, you can see that it does damage to your health every turn, but also if it reaches a certain amount, like 25 or 50, it has other effects that are very bad for you.
Ooh. So there's a build-up, there's status effect that can get created by those build-ups. I like that. I love the complexity and that it's not, I don't know, taking you by the hands like a little child and like, oh, well, let's go and do this, go and do that. And it's hardcore in a sense, and I like it.
Well, these kind of systems are very much inspired by tabletop role-playing systems I'm very familiar with, and I have designed some in my life too. So yes, obviously these are not that complex like in a role-playing game, but they take after role-playing games. That's very good shot.
That's a good one.
Take that. Did the one crit it back there and died instantly? No, he was weakened. Never mind.
Yes.
Should I keep going on them with the freezing vapor? Was that a
2 more shots?
Yes.
Or you should
focus
deal with the Alpha Scorpion as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you freeze an Alpha Scorpion, it won't explode.
Oh.
When you
But you should go back to deep chill in order not to hit your friendly units.
So it's not frozen yet. And frozen, yeah.
Ah,
On rolling.
there we go.
Yes, it's frozen now, so
Cool.
it's safe to kill, even from close up.
Perfect. Double barrel shotgun. But although I'm tempted to, never mind. Eat that. Oh, it
That's it. Congrats.
Beautiful.
One thing you can try now with a sniper unit
Yeah.
to go over those 2 crawlers 3 grids over them. I would like just to show you the pinpoint strike mechanics.
Over up here.
3,
3
but in a line with them.
in a line with them.
Same line.
1, 2, 3. There.
Choose 3. Probably we need
Yes,
the
because
4th.
it
I
ha-
don't know. We'll see.
Yes, because it has a, and you, because they are small targets, you have to crouch.
Okay, I have to go one more.
Maybe you just have to crouch,
Now and then crouch.
and you can target the first one, and the second one will also. So target one lower. The
Oh,
below,
one lower.
one
My
below.
sorry. I'm sorry. So if I targeted the one, the bullet would have went through
Yes.
both of them. Okay.
Yes, yes.
But now you're out of ammo at the moment, but that's okay. Just like to show you the mechanic.
That was cool. That was really cool.
As I've said before, pinpoint strike is a tricky shot, but for example, when multiple Reapers, those are very big, nasty enemies, attack you in a line, it's very good. And if someone would calculate the damage output of a pinpoint strike from a sniper rifle, it would be among the top of the damages you can do with the weapons currently in the game.
Watch out the health of Kavanaugh.
Oh yeah.
He's pretty beaten up. How did that happen?
One of these crawlers came and attacked him over
Oh.
here.
Yeah.
So 148. Is there? Oh yeah, there I can see the max. He's nearly half a life down.
Yeah, that's quite good, but if there's another Alpha or a Reaper reaches that unit, then it's kind
game
of gonna die, yeah.
Maybe not on this difficulty level. but
Yeah,
yes.
probably.
You probably always want to heal your units while you can before things go south very quickly.
Trauma kits, med kit. So med kit heals health. Trauma kit heals even more health.
Promo kit more, probably you won't consume a unit from there, because that
Yeah,
Jenkins has primary biochemistry
I will.
skills.
So there's also a mechanic, a complex mechanic. So he has a specialization in primary specialization in biochemistry,
Mhm.
which means that if he uses a healing item for an injury that is less than the half of the maximum HP of that unit he heals, then the item won't be consumed on use.
Oh.
So probably you should use the bigger health kit now to make sure that it won't be consumed.
Hazmat kits. Trauma kit, right?
Yes. Use the trauma kit. And it hasn't been consumed. You still
Beautiful.
have 3 of them. It is something you can completely ignore if you are not into that.
Oops.
That was a ricochet. You hit your own unit. It happens.
Man.
So what I wanted to say is that if you just want to play the game casually and still enjoy it and win missions, this kind of mechanic is something you don't really want to. You don't really need to know or use. But if you want to play on a harder difficulty level and you want to maximize the items or your ability to fight a longer fight, this is something you can learn to look out for when to use an item, when to use another item, if you have the possibility. So this is what we're talking about. This game doesn't really hold your hand, and in the tutorial we want to make sure that all the basics are understood and you can basically mechanically play the game but all the small details and combinations and deeper tactics you can do when you really understand how the enemies, the weapons, the items work with the skills combined. That's something we want the players to discover for themselves, because it's good to have in a game, I think. So this is our approach to this genre, and that's why I said at the beginning of this session that it's kind of an old school kind of tactical based game, because 25 years ago games did this. They let you to discover the mechanics, and they didn't hold your hand.
And that's how it
And,
should be, in my opinion.
and mine too.
We're in the same opinion.
Not saying that the modern take on the genre is not good. So
Of course.
I enjoyed playing a lot of the modern iterations of the tactical turn-based games. It's just something I'm still longing after all these years for the old school tactics that was in the original UFO or Jagged Alliance or Invasion or a lot of games. The old Laser Squad, I don't know if you remember that. That was Golob's first game before UFO. It was
Oh, I did a
available
mistake
on
here,
the-
having him with the back to the enemy.
Now you have a very nasty poisoning. That's the icon says. It's a level 2 poisoning. You can see that the action points of your unit is now in purple. That means every action, including movement and attacking, costs more for her now.
Oh, I
So it's
see.
better to fall back and
Maybe there's some item you can use to remove
Well, definitely. We had the
the
hazmat that instantly recovers
That's it.
morale and takes away poison buildup.
and also heals. So
Also heals.
that worked. And because of the biochemistry rule we mentioned before, it did not consume the item. So that was very good.
Nice.
Of course, now this healing took a lot of action points from Jenkins. So this is something
but
you
yeah,
have
but
to
that unit is, I mean, that marine is still alive, so
That was totally
sometimes
worth it.
better to, yeah. But that's just another thing that you can calculate with. Either if you heal someone or to do other actions.
Aye.
Yeah,
Should've moved
so-
it before.
basically shooting at targets that are very close to some of your other units is
Nah, no way.
Unfortunate.
dangerous.
I see. Yeah, I see.
It's unfortunate.
It happens.
Sometimes it's necessary for example in tight spaces,
Yeah.
in dire situations, but when you can avoid it, it's that was very good Space Ninja attacks. And there's the base, and somewhere in that base there's an elevator you have locate.
Oh god. Oh god. Is there more aliens coming? I'm not panicking. Looking left and right. There's the big one, and he's with the back to us.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a ranged attacker, so he tries to maintain distance.
But you can reach it.
With a sniper, obviously you can reach it. And
Oh, beautiful.
That was nice.
Eat that. And now we have to reload, and we have still a shot. Beautiful. And now you please go over here.
That's a good idea.
Then we have Davidson. How
And
far can you
Spencer.
shoot? 1, 2 tiles. So 2 tiles coming in. 2 tiles and shooting from up there. Ooh. Ooh.
That's it.
Yes.
a sniper rifle is absolutely powerful. in an open space like the planet surface, it's very powerful. But in long corridors or big rooms inside the base, it's also very good. One disadvantage of the sniper rifle is the minimum range, so you can't shoot at targets that are close to you, obviously,
Yes. But
and
of course, if you have
that
the
can be a problem if you don't have any other weapon with you, and you are pushed into a corner, then you can't really use the sniper rifle. So that's another layer of tactics you'll need to learn, especially on higher difficulties where there's no mercy from the enemies.
No mercy. I love it. Let's run over there. And we can give
I
a
sure.
shot. Give him another one. Give him a last one.
That's it.
Beautiful. Davidson. Let's advance. Let's hope we're stand up. Good.
Let's see.
Oh, I forgot to check this left side. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Why is he green shining?
It's an armored variant. As you can see, the armor bars are very high. So,
Oh, I see.
oh. Yes. So
Yep.
there are other variants of enemies, like the armored you see, and there's rejuvenating variants that regenerate HP at the beginning of the turn, and there's the hunter type, which always goes for your weakest unit, so it bypasses your melee defense line if you have any, and tries to kill the unit that has the less health points left. And there will be other variants in the future too, but I don't want to add variants that are uh, just have increased that mainly. I want to come up with mechanics that are interesting. One thing that will be soon implemented in the game, and if there will be a next demo before the early access, it will be probably in it, is some enemies will have auras around them. You will have to consider when moving through the map not to step into those auras, but you will also have new items like aura emitters, maybe some bioactive toxin you can put in an area, and every enemy that passes through that will be damaged by it. So there are a lot of items coming, a lot of mechanics that are still coming, but basically, as you can see, hopefully the very core gameplay is there, and it's very well balanced for now. But there's also some iconic weapons that are still coming, like a flamethrower, a high energy laser rifle that can shoot through a long line of enemies in one shot. Um,
That sounds amazing. Especially. Oh, I forgot the oh my god. I mean, it takes some time until you, of course, consider all the angles that you have to keep an eye on. And if I reach the elevator there, do I go straight into the next
no,
phase?
you have to put each of your units into an extraction grid and choose extract unit, and you can do it in parts. So when all of your units are extracted, then the next part of the mission will commence. So if you're in range, maybe you can make a run for it with all your units, but be careful, because if you leave someone behind for a turn and he gets surrounded, there may be no way to save them.
I see. Hydrazine. Oi, oi, oi.
Yes, you can take out hydrazine from those barrels. That means that barrel will no longer explode. And later, when there will be, for example, the flamethrower in the game, you can use the hydrazine you get this way to fuel that weapon.
Okay. Let's freeze you. So don't go boom. We've learned that. There we go. Now you're frozen. And now we go. Does the single barrel already do the same effect with the impact 60? Impact 30.
You are better off with double barrel in this type of situation.
Oh.
Oh, beautiful. This is so satisfying, I can tell you.
I know. That's my favorite composition, the cryo combo with 2 snipers. This is basically my squad, just a little bit tweaked for the demo. Yeah, 2 snipers, 1 cryo. Yes, it's based on my squad I use internally for testing.
Okay, you guys line up there. Don't like you.
But there are also possible other builds. Let's say builds.
Yes, let's say builds. Yes, there's a good, equally powerful thing with fire and acid. So basically, if you ignite a target and then pump a lot of acid into it, it will melt in a turn, even the biggest of enemies. But these are things you can know these things because if you carefully read all the information inside the game, you can put it together. But as I said, I think the players should discover these combinations and good builds for themselves, or share them with each other. Of course, we will also help them to understand that these things are possible.
Okay. That's
Terrible.
raised. Then you're gonna defense like that.
Which turn is it? Because my screen is a bit
Turn 8 out of 15.
8. So you're in good time. You are making good progress in this mission.
Let's see here. We have Spencer left. We have Craig left. Don't like this spitter up here. Can I jump over something?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. Target distracted area. That's over there.
I think yes.
There it
Yeah,
is.
There's
yes,
some
yes.
doors. Okay. So pushing them all down here.
Yeah, it's probably better to move with Craig and all the others inside or from the south to avoid others coming from the north. But still, watch out those scorpion. That scorpion has some health point left.
Oh yeah, he will do some nasty things, I believe. Let's triple fire and make a defense line and make it like this. And Craig, run! Actually, I could go for the kill. Never mind. Let's move around. So we have a line of fire on this side. Probably Kava will get some shots from you up there. But it is what it is. Defend. And let's
But yeah, if you compare Kavanaugh to Craig, sometimes it's better to put a healthy unit in the first line
yeah,
to get some damage. It's easier to heal.
Maybe I should not shoot towards Kava with that. Because that will hit him as well.
Well, there's a mechanic. So if the friendly fire is not turned on, and it's not because it's green, so don't do that. Your unit won't fire if there's if the other unit is in range of the attack or the damage. So
Okay. Let's
it
give it a
does not.
swing.
So the worst thing that can happen is he won't fire. But you have to be careful with this, of course, because and you can see that Scorpion now healed himself or itself. So some enemies have this life stealing or
Jumping in there was a bad idea.
Alone.
Bye-bye, Spencer. What if I...
But there's-
oh, what if I
There's a
jump
way
out
to
and...
come out easily.
Okay, I'm all ears. Explosions.
Probably, or just to push that barrel over there, yeah.
yes, you can move items. What just to
Push that barrel.
not that
Yeah, the hydrogen
maybe the
barrel
hydrogen
over,
barrel.
yeah, that
Yes.
one.
Move
That
next
one.
to
That-
it,
Move
Next to it, and
Okay.
and there's the pull or the push.
Is
Let's
that the...
push.
push.
Do you want to push it or do you want to pull it?
You can't pull it.
Yeah, but there's something in your back. Behind you, I mean. And now you're able to come out,
Oh.
if I'm right.
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
Okay.
So
that
it's
was
better.
That was a close call.
Help! I found aliens!
And let me share something with you. Some of the players who follow the development of the game asked why isn't there some kind of mechanic that, for example, when you move away from an enemy, that they have this ability to attack you as a retaliation because
Yeah,
you
attack
are
of opportunity,
running
yeah.
away. But it's deliberate from my side because the game is so complex and you can do so much things in your turn and the enemy can do their things in their turn. I wanted to keep the two turns basically separate apart from the Overwatch defense mode you can do because that's important. But I think it would be too punishing because as you will see on harder difficulties in tight spaces, sometimes there's your only chance to survive is to move through a horde of enemies carefully, moving objects, detonating objects, killing just one worm to open up a space to escape. And if all the Reapers and tougher enemies then would attack you just because you are moving, it would be unplayable. So this is a design decision to separate the turns of you and the turns of the AI in a way that classic board games do, and I think it works very well.
It works super well. So I think we should then end the run here with a big boom. Sadly, we're not having the time to reach the end. If I run up here and shoot on the hydrogen barrel, will it go boom?
Yes.
There's gonna be a chain reaction, actually.
How can I aim for that back there?
You should move closer on to find the right angle.
What is back there? That's flammable.
Is there hydrogen on the ground there?
Yeah, on the ground.
You can fire. Yes, now you can turn on the friendly fire with F, or yes, and fire on the hydrogen.
That's this one, right?
The left one.
No,
Yes.
that one.
Or that. Sorry, this. Yeah, that one.
Pressure barrel. Hydrogen pool, flammable.
Yes, you want to fire on the hydrogen pool below it, so you can use ground lock.
Oh yeah,
Why?
ground lock.
yeah, we should fire on the hydrogen barrels instead. The problem is I don't really see. Discord is not doing
Okay,
a
no,
good job of.
don't worry about it. You know what? Let's just move in here. Oh, that's 1 AP. We'll just make it sure that it goes
Maybe if
boom.
you throw in a grenade, a hand grenade should
Yeah.
be the trick.
Directly to that.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, that was not
Or another
enough.
one. That's it.
Explosions. This was USC Counterforce for you. I am stunned how complex, how amazingly well you can interact with things, use things, jump over stuff, different ammunitions, different skill points, different weapon types. And this is just the beginning of how it will go. This body cam up there, I love it. And all this combined with a compelling story that thrives you to play through, I am sold. That's all I can say. Take my money.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you have any last words towards our audience there?
Come try the demo. It's available until the 3rd of October on Steam, I think. Yeah. So right now during Tacticon and after that for a week. And see for yourself if you want some old school turn-based tactical action. But I think that the game in its current state, even the demo, speaks for itself if this is what you are looking for.
Also,
does.
follow us on Twitter if you would like to have news from this game.
There you heard it. Go try out the demo. You have a limited time to give it a swing. It is right now in chat. Later on, if you watch the video, it will be in the descriptions down below. All the links to their Twitter and information that you want from them will be linked in the video as well. Thank you kindly for joining. Sorry for the technical hiccups there on Discord side. I don't know what was going on there, but it's sadly not in my power to change that. And nonetheless, thank you for your time. Thanks for hanging out with me, Angry Cat Studios.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity. Have a great day.
Have a
Thanks a
great
lot.
day.
Bye-bye.